So it provides them a job. It provides our small businesses in the area an opportunity to take advantage of these free platforms to advertise their services and products. Right? And it provides Facebook with another opportunity to be even more ubiquitous. So it's a win-win-win. So that formula is something that absolutely works. There's a small company, up-and-coming company called Apple. One of its founders, Steve Wozniak, along with Steve Jobs, started the company. Steve Wozniak started a university that focuses on digital skills, so coding, cybersecurity, drone development, mobile development, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So we are in conversations with them right now to partner, again, in the same sort of formula that's a win-win-win. So let me give you an example of what we will be doing. So in Florida, there are thousands of acres of sugarcane fields, right? And every week, there's a human being that walks and examines every stalk to make sure there's no bugs, disease, et cetera, because it would infect the entire crop. So they want to innovate and have drones do the walking. So drones with GPS so that you can immediately know where that stalk is, right? With high-definition cameras that can go up and down the stalk and all around it at 1/10 of the cost of a human being doing that every week, right? But they need people with digital skills. They need people who can operate drones, design drones, and manufacture drones for their specific purpose, right? So we would provide, for instance, that training through workforce development so that students can get these skills and then immediately get a job thereafter. So again, a win for students, a win for the college, and a win for the companies that need those skills. This summer, we also hosted Facebook Community Boost. It's another way in which we are partnering with small businesses locally. That's Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, and we had our own little Shark Tank here, Ignite Buffalo. And one of the winners was one of our graduates. She won $100,000. So. We also made money off this event, so it's another way to bring in non-tuition revenue because they used our campus, used our services, et cetera, et cetera. The other way in which we are being more entrepreneurial is having private company pay for things for us. So, for instance, my investiture last May, 10 years ago, Jack Quinn, the former president, used over $60,000 to pay for that event, right? So this year, I approached TIAA and had them pay for the investiture. Thank you. We have Tesla, and they have promised to put solar panels on our new STEM building. And thanks to Mike's work, we are able to have the student lounge at STEM named for $200,000. Again, this is the way in which we can partner with industry and small businesses and big businesses to help fund services, help name buildings, but help bring in non-tuition revenue at the college. All right. So that was very quickly our first year, and I want to congratulate all of you for your help in helping to change people's perception of who we are. SUNY Area Cares. This is the new initiative for year 2 of my administration. CARES stands for compassion, right? So fundamentally, I think one of the values I would like us to embody is greater respect, support, and compassion. So compassion comes from the Latin co-passion, so to feel pain together, um, as a way to understand what others are going through. And I think it really makes a difference when we can feel the pain of students, we can feel the pain of one another, right? The A stands for accountability. So there's not a single day that goes by that I don't get an email, a phone call, or a handwritten letter complaining about some of our student services. So this is, I'll just read one of them to you, right? So this comes from a mother. It came just a few weeks ago. And we just highlighted some of the sentences. And I'm just going to read it to you because I do not go one day without getting something like this. So I would have thought I just walked into a gas station bathroom. It was filthy. Not just paper on the floor, but soap buildup and scum that had taken more than a day to accumulate. Stair rails had cobweb, lots of them, and dead bugs on the floor. This just isn't days of neglect. So this mother brought, well, I think she has two kids who are students here, and she was with her daughter, who is also in the Navy, I believe. And so she walked through our campus together with her, and this was her experience. At admissions, I signed in, sat down and waited. When I was called, I explained what I needed. The brunette seated at the center desk clearly had no, and I mean no clue what she was doing, and insisted her incorrect information was correct. Had I listened to her, I would have been sent on another wild goose chase. And standing my ground and insisting she was wrong, the blonde woman on the right intervened and gave me the information I needed. Both of my children attended ECC. My daughter is still there. If this is the way young students are treated, no wonder they get frustrated and angry. It's not the fact that staff might not know the answer. That I understand. It's the fact that they give wrong information or don't try to help find the answer. It's a nope, not me attitude that is infuriating. It's not just one person. Hurry up and get to admissions. Sit 45 minutes waiting to talk to someone. Nope, you need the registrar's office. Sit and wait another 45 minutes. Okay, now you need to go back to admissions. Sit another 30 minutes. Nope, you should have gone to financial aid first. Right? An entire day is wasted when the first person could have told them the order in which to navigate their visit. I cannot tell you how many times my daughter has called me complaining about this. I thought she was being whiny. Boy, do I owe her an apology. It is rare that she finds someone who will take just the next step to help her. My son was a new student last spring, and even with the help of my daughter, their experience was a nightmare. He has since left and enrolled in another college where he said his experience is wonderful. So we are losing students because of poor customer service, right? We need to be known for better customer service because it makes a difference. People will choose to go elsewhere, right? And what that means is if people go elsewhere, we have fewer students. We have fewer students, we have fewer tuition revenue. We get less from the state because that's based on the number of students, right? And then we're going to have to make cuts. And that means people's jobs. I cannot tell you how many times there we go. Would it really hurt anyone to take 30 seconds to help find an answer for these young men and women? Okay, so all companies really rely on social media because students post their immediate responses, right? And so these are some of our recent Facebook posts. Academic advisement, inaccurate and irresponsible. I would never recommend this school to anyone. So if you're a high school student And obviously you're on Facebook, right? So you're checking out colleges to attend, and then you see things like this. It does not encourage you to attend that college. Right? Now, this thing about advisement, I've been getting it from students. I had a meeting with Darius Pridgeon, right, who is chair of the Common Council. He told me that a family member of his just graduated, but she still had to go back this summer to take 2 courses. Why? Because she was misadvised. She took 3 courses she didn't really have to take for that degree. Another person says, I don't know how many requests you have to make for transcripts to be sent. It has now been 2 weeks, absolutely no response. I wouldn't recommend this school to anyone. Okay, so you get the idea. We obviously can do a better job. We're better than this. And so we need to hear from our students. So I'm implementing 3 things this year. One is student point of purchase surveys. So as soon as they leave admissions, advisement, financial aid, they will be able to report on their experience. So this is to help measure student satisfaction at the point of service delivery. There will also be a college-wide student survey so that students give feedback on all aspects of their college experience. And finally, a class survey in all classes every semester, right? So that students can be able to relate what's working for them and what isn't working for them in specific course sections. We need this feedback because students are the only reason we exist, the only reason we have jobs here. The R stands for being relevant culturally. As you know, we have many different cultures represented by our students. Across our 3 campuses, which are rural, urban, and suburban, we have very distinct cultures there. But there's also ethnic and cultural diversity among our students. And we'll have Clay Osborne, who will be giving a brief talk this morning about how being inclusive makes us stronger as an institution. And then he'll be offering 2 presentations, workshops this afternoon as well. Excellence. So in my first year agenda, we had E standing for efficiency, because for 6 years we hadn't had a balanced budget. The E in SUNY Area Care stands for excellence. We need a continual cycle of improvement, right? And so this is why we are on warning with regards to middle states. So 2 standards, one of them being assessment, right? So the idea is that we need to review what we're doing, how we're doing it, getting feedback from students as well as other indicators, implementing those findings, and continuing with the cycle of continuous improvement. Right? So E stands for excellence, and S stands for students first. Right? We really have to start making every decision based on how it impacts our students, what they experience, what they need from us. Right? So this will be, again, our central principle moving forward. And so today, we will hear from one of our students, our new student trustee, TK Adebayo. Come on up and say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I wasn't expecting to speak this morning, but hi, I'm TK. I'm excited for this new upcoming year. To be completely frank, been very disappointed in some practices that have been going on with SUNY Erie over the last year. I'm excited that they have a new approach and we're going to commit to excellence, and I hope that you guys all can get behind that. say students first, it really is about the student. You know, I work for this company now too, so our jobs are important, but we have the chance to impact people's lives, and we have to be there from day one. And don't be afraid to go the extra mile. I know it's so easy to say it's not my problem, but if you could please just help these students out. Thank you.
Thank you, TK. All right, so SUNY Area Cares. Our second year priorities also include Workday implementation, as well as addressing being on warning for middle states. Right? So Workday has arrived, and that is the SUNY Area CAT. If you didn't recognize him or her, originally there was a character of me in the car, and I nixed it. So phase one goes live September 1st, so next week. So this includes HR, payroll, benefits, accounting, business office, etc. So for those of you who have been doing time cards or not doing time cards, Friday is your last day to not do them. All right? It's your last opportunity not to do your pay card on time. So please take advantage of it, because beginning in September, you will be doing it electronically, right? So you will not be paid if you do not do your time card electronically. I'm going to say that again, right? Your mortgage will not be paid if you do not do the time card electronically. Okay. 2 training sessions this afternoon on Workday. Learn how to navigate Workday, so update withholdings, direct deposit. We want you to play around with it, get comfortable with it, because you're stuck with it, right? It will improve our processes immensely. So September 4th, we will have Workday tables on every campus with information and swag. And phases 2 to 7, Workday for students, will begin in roughly 6 months. So I want to congratulate Mina and her team for doing it on time and on budget. Where is she? I don't know who she is. But let's have a round of applause for all the work they did. So as you all know, we are on warning by middle states for 2 standards, right? And we have done a lot of work with your help. And so far, all college units have submitted their unit goals report. All academic programs and ILOs, institutional learning outcomes, have been fully assessed. And Nuventive is running. And this is the platform that we are using for continuous improvement. It's very important you use it to document the changes that you're doing, because otherwise, middle states will have no idea what we're doing. We need to use this platform, this software. So, middle states will send a team here. It's a real test. It's for real. It's not a fire drill. They are coming here, 3 people, 3 volunteers from similar institutions, as well as Deb Meckel from SUNY and Sean McKittrick from Middle States. Will be here on our campus October 2nd to 4th. What we need to do is have you connect with your unit heads to make sure you are apprised of the report, the goals of your unit, that you can converse about it. The worst case scenario is one of those visitors, and they're just walking around like human beings, will run into you and ask you a question, and what they don't want to hear is, I don't know a thing about that. Who are you? Right? Because they want our entire community to understand what's going on in terms of assessment. And that seems to be the major issue right now, because financially we've been able to turn it around. It's of less concern for them. right? So get in touch with your units. More information will be forthcoming. I want to thank the assessment team, the IRAP team, and our assessment mentors for all their work. And I want to especially thank all of you, our faculty and staff, who have cooperated and have helped us be where we are today, because I think we're in good shape, right? This is the final push. They're here in October, and hopefully we will get a clean bill of health, and they won't be back here for a while. If they leave in October and give us a bad report, we're going to feel the pain for a few more months, right? If not years. So we hope you stay engaged for the next week because it's critical, or sorry, the next month because it's critical, and look for information from your unit heads. Okay, shared governance. I don't know where Colleen Quinn is. But I think we've done some incredible things with College Senate. In the past year, I've been trying to make every single session. We've had full participation from all our constituencies. We've had great representation. This is how you have an impact on the leadership of this college, is by being on critical search committees, as well as participating on on various task forces, including safety and security, academic integrity. And I want to thank the faculty for participating in our affordable instructional materials, because the number of courses that are being offered for $35 or less in terms of instructional materials has gone up 5% since last year. And we're seeing increased participation on Starfish, which is very important for student retention. So thank you all for that. Okay, so this is something different. We now have money set aside for people who go above and beyond the call of duty, right? President's Awards. I think we've always had some variation, but I've made sure, I told Penny we needed a little more money to be able to recognize people who have gone beyond the call of duty. And so there is a list somewhere, Paula, that I am going to read out, and hopefully our award recipients are present. Great. So I happen to be reading this for the first time. Okay, the Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Classified Service recognizes extraordinary achievement, skill, and commitment to fulfilling the duties of their job. Recipients of this award consistently provide exemplary customer service to students, staff, and other members of the campus community. The recipient for the 2017-2018 academic year is Suzanne Blanton. Thank you, Sam. Congratulations. Okay, right. I wonder if we can't do the all yeah, group one. All right. The Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Adjunct Teaching recognizes consistent superior teaching at the graduate, undergraduate, or professional level. The recipients for the 2017-18 academic year are Paul Kochmansky and Christine Wukolaski. Come on down. Is Christine here? Great. Congratulations. President's Award. We are introducing this series of President's Recognition Awards to recognize staff and faculty who have gone above and beyond the call of duty through their demonstration of extraordinary service to students, to scholarship, and to the college. For their efforts on the Workday project, we want to acknowledge George DeRosa, Gary Bellagamba, Julie Geis, Patricia McNair, Lori Tufel, and Krista Woods. Hey, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got swag for you. All right. Did I? Yeah, is that right? He was probably the only one I got right. Okay, rolling right along. For their efforts with the Facebook Community Boost event, Bob Germoni. Jim Hartman. Ryan Nogel. Nick Sonricker. And Lauren Watkins. Hey, Nick. Thanks. Congratulations. Okay, for our outstanding work with SUNY, Professor David Uzinski. Where is David? For innovation and data analysis, Ernie Keel. David, congratulations. For technology innovations, I didn't know that was a category. Scott Ermer. Julie, come on up. Okay. Where's Ryan? Ryan, I see you. You can't hide. All right. Good. Where's Mike Delaney? How am I on time? Borderline. Borderline personality. All right. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up for a number of reasons. I kind of ran through the presentation. I'm the keynote speaker for the Tonawanda District School Board. I have to be there this morning for their opening day. So our last award for the morning is our 2018 Emeritus status. We have one member of our SUNY area family who we are recognizing with Emeritus status today. For 23 years, Mary Beard served as Assistant Academic Dean at SUNY area over general studies, liberal arts, social science, and humanities. She has consistently been a champion of the students and has enthusiastically represented them in forums where their voices might not otherwise be heard. Mary has earned the respect of colleagues while making significant contributions to promoting the college's mission vision, and philosophy. So please join me in congratulating Mary Baird. Where's Mike? Come on up, Mike. Michael Delaney. You're not. I was borderline, right? No. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. You told me I was borderline, so I'm good.
I'm going to have to tap dance.
Thank you, everyone.
You did workday. You did it all. Amazing. That was great. Paula, have you got the intro? Photos. Well, I will try as soon as Paula gives me the little writing. Thank you. Actually, after this, yeah, our timing is way off. What I think we're probably going to do, Clay Osborne, are you here? Can you do the thing now? We'll do the break at the end. Okay, I would like to introduce Clay Osborne. There's a little impromptu kind of agenda change. Sorry, folks. We are going to go right into Clay Osborne's presentation, and I'm going to introduce him to you. And then we will do our break afterwards. Clay Osborne is the president of True Insights. Dan had it last. True Insights Consulting, and is recognized talent in the areas of executive coaching, leadership development, and organizational effectiveness. Clay's last role prior to creating his consulting practice was as Vice President of Human Resources, Talent Management, Learning, and Diversity for Bausch & Lomb, a global healthcare company. He also led the Human Resource Department for the company's research and development function. Thank you. Clay has built a reputation as an innovative strategic thinker, a can-do person with a vast network of professional partners across the world. He continues to learn and share his passion for coaching leaders and consulting in the areas of strategic team alignment, change management, organizational transitions, and effectiveness. And today, he is going to be talking to us about improving the long-term sustainability of SUNY Erie through diversity, student engagement, and equity. Clayton Osborne, thank you.
Good morning. So some of you don't know me, but I've been around for a while. And when President Jack Quinn was here, we started the conversations around diversity. So I've been super pleased in terms of what I heard this morning about the progress that's being made in a whole range of issues here at SUNY Erie. I have to remember not to say ECC, right? At SUNY Erie. And I must say, when we talk about diversity, I think some of you may want to fall asleep. Others get excited about it. Let me just say this. My discussion and brief presentation on diversity has to do with the economics of diversity for SUNY Erie and the long-term sustainability of the college. I must say that the challenges, can't hear? Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Should I start over? Really? I must say that the challenges for colleges and universities today are steep. And diversity, engagement, inclusion, and equity, just one of the pillars, as President Hokoy talked about. Technology is one. How do we prepare students for a future where automation and robotics will take over most of the jobs that we're preparing students for today? All of those things are the pillars that we have to ensure that the foundations for SUNY Erie are strong. So my conversation, the presentation about diversity today is not it's not a political conversation, right? It's not even a social conversation. It's really about how do we sustain this college, your jobs, create excellent students long into the future. And so I want you to think about it in that way, right? So your politics, put that to sleep for a little bit. Your personal views of the language, unfortunately, for some of the word diversity, put that to sleep for a little bit, and just think more around how do we create this larger pie for us, for SUNY Erie. And if I ever put this down, just kind of beat me up and shout, because I know I'm putting it down a little bit. So, my definition for diversity is that includes all of us, right? Everyone here, as a human being, as a person, have unique characteristics that makes you part of the diversity pool. Oftentimes, the challenge in most colleges and most universities and in the world, it's around how do we deal with visible diversity, identity diversity, how do we deal with people, how do we relate, engage with people who are black, brown, yellow, people who are women, people whose sexual preferences are different than our own. All of those things are some of the things that we talk about on the top when we talk about diversity. But diversity includes you. It includes each one of you here. And inclusion, a quick definition of inclusion is the deliberate of welcoming diversity and creating an environment where all different kinds of people can thrive and succeed. And I think that's extremely important as we talk about sustaining SUNY Erie into the future, because I will tell you a little bit about the population trends that in fact threatens community colleges like yours if we can't find ways of welcoming and making people who look vastly different, speak different tongues than many of us into this college. Okay, my experience, I come out of the corporate world. I've spent 18 and a half years at Bausch Shalom, and half of that time I was the vice president of human resources. But you know, my dad always said I couldn't keep a job, so I've done a lot of things. I was a deputy county executive for Monroe County before. I taught at RIT. I teach now executive leadership at St. John's Fisher College, so I know all of these different environments. But my core work has been in the corporate center, so I can tell you a little bit about diversity in that context. And briefly, I must say this: when I got to Bausch Shalom, most of you who are older may know of Ray-Ban sunglasses, right? We used to make Ray-Ban sunglasses, and part of the challenge was around creativity and innovation. And my first week at the job, the CEO said to me, "We have a young man who is not doing well. People say he's not aggressive enough, and could you talk with him?" Went to talk to the young man, and he said to me, Clay, he was African American. He said, "Clay, when I get too assertive, they say I'm too aggressive, and then when I back off, they say I'm not aggressive enough." And so ultimately, in the Ray-Ban department, we lost that person. Another young man who was in the closet at Bausch Shalom in terms of his sexual preferences. And at that time, this was 17 and a half years ago, at that time, people weren't as embracing in our company as we were. And he left Bausch Shalom, and one of the most creative people, one of the most innovative people that was there, and went to Coke in Atlanta. And in our exit interviews, we did an interesting thing with exit interviews. We did it 6 months after the person left. We found out that he wasn't comfortable in Rochester. He wasn't comfortable at Bausch Shalom as an openly gay person. So we lost him. Let me tell you about the first young man, and then I'll go pretty fast through these slides. The first young man had recommended that we use social media, the internet, for marketing Ray-Bans. And at that time, that was the early stages of the internet, and his boss, we have a letter I keep at my home, word the boss said to him, that was for young people, and that it wouldn't work. We would have been the first company on the internet marketing sunglasses. Failure of diversity and inclusion and all the things we're talking about today. The young man who happened to be gay, same thing. We lost him to Pepsi. And today, Ray-Ban no longer is a U.S. brand, right? It's owned by Luxottica, because one of the major things that we weren't successful at was embracing and being able to retain people who were different. So that's a diversity story from the corporate perspective. And so my presentation here today is about how you can help us in the work world to produce students who are more open, who are more embracing, both from black, brown students from urban areas and white young men and women from rural areas. If we can find ways of having them work successfully together, it helps us in the workplace. Okay? So, some of the questions for you here at SUNY Erie, right? And I won't go through all of these, but some of the questions that relates to diversity are students from different groups succeeding or disengaged, right? And why is that? Are we building SUNY Erie to prepare students to live in a more diverse communities? Are faculty succeeding with increasing a more diverse student body? These questions here are extremely important for the long-term sustainability of Erie, because the student body will become diverse if you like it or not. And I will say more about that as this presentation goes on, right? Our diversity concerns tied to the drive of excellence and accountability. It's all about how can we make SUNY better? How can we create a bigger pie so that, not that, because I'll talk a little bit about diverse faculty too, how can we make a bigger pie that we can have more faculty and more students? That's really the long-term goals of diversity initiatives. And President Jack Quinn and I used to have those conversations at the end, and President Hoko and I are having those conversations now, right? Students are very interested in, there was a survey done, and Tracy Cleveland, our Vice President of Human Resources and Diversity, could tell you more about this. It was a survey done, and there are several questions on it, and I took some of them out because of time. But one of the questions was asked students, do you support the infusion of diversity issues within the general education curriculum at SUNY Erie? 100% of the students who took the survey said yes. Amazing to me, because rarely do you find surveys where 100% of the people respond, right? So 100% of the students, and I think you may hear more about this from Miss Cleveland as the time goes on. But I thought that was very, very, very impressive, right? And some of the comments, and I thought the comments, and there was about, I would say, 50 comments. Again, for time's sake, I just chose some of them. Student says, actual action plans to promote diversity. You can't see what it said there. What would you like to see focused on as it relates to a diversity initiative here at SUNY Erie? And the comments were what you see there. Actual action plans to promote diversity, work towards high minority retention rates, more coming together events like Critical Dialogue series. And I think the survey came out of the Critical Dialogue series. Cultural traditions and how they're viewed by other cultures, how professors deal with racist students. Those were the comments, and I said there were over 50 other comments that were made. These were just some of them, right? So students are extremely concerned themselves about diversity, inclusion, and fairness and equity here on the SUNY Erie campus. Okay. Fewer students, more diverse. You know that in upstate New York, nearly every community college had less students applying, less students enrolling over the last year or two. And I know that's true here at SUNY Erie too, because the number of college-age students in upstate New York has dropped dramatically, right? And so what are the consequences of that? Consequences are that I say that I do some work at the Rochester Institute of Technology. there are a lot of four-year colleges that are beginning to say we have to begin to market, encourage students to come directly from high school to their college, right? Remember, there's a big romance with 2+2s, and that still exists today, right? I believe as the pressures for enrollment continues, you will see more and more colleges begin to compete furiously for students, both four-year colleges as well as other community colleges. Now, where is the opportunity for community colleges, right? At the same time that this number of students are becoming fewer in upstate New York, and I don't speak about New York City because I don't know about that enough. What's happening is the number of diverse students are increasing, right? The number of Latino, Spanish students are increasing. The number of Asian students are increasing, and a slight increases in African American students. In terms of what's causing that, the birth and immigration rates of Latinos, the same birth and immigration rates of in South Asia of Asians is causing a dramatic increases, and so the opportunity lies in creating this environment, this college that is more embracing and more welcoming to students, and that is one of the ways of increasing the number of students enrolling here, as well as President Hokoy said, technology. You know, I think that one of the areas of opportunity is, and in a two-year college, is the opportunity to be the place of excellence to prepare students for highly sophisticated, highly technical jobs that may or may not require a four-year degree. So, what does all this require? So, regardless of what faculty or staff, whatever your focus and your concentration is, it really requires that individual change. I mean, a change in terms of your outlook as to how you prepare students, how you welcome students, and how you engage with students. And it also will require organization-wide change. I was super impressed this morning to hear some of what the president is doing, and you all are doing, because when we say the president is doing, obviously you have to support it for it to be successful. So it requires individual and underlying individual and organizational change. Starts with self-awareness. The whole issue of when we're talking about diversity, you could be the smartest person in the room or the smartest person in your classroom. My experience is that when we talk about differences and how we deal with it, it's a gut issue. It's an emotional issue. Many of us, perhaps most of us, grow up in communities where we don't deal with, we don't relate on a day-to-day basis to diverse people, if you're black, brown, or yellow, or if you're white. And oftentimes, the first place that you're engaging with people who are different is here at the college, not only for students, but for faculty, right? And so self-awareness and how you deal with that and how you manage it. Remember, I'm not talking about political awareness. I'm talking about awareness of how you can help sustain and grow in your job, as well as having ECC be the place where that can grow and accept more and more diverse people. It requires hard work and courage. I think I always say for leaders, that's one of the things I teach at St. John's Fisher. I say, people ask me, what is the most important attribute for leadership? I think it's courage. I always say that. It's really courage. And some of the issues that we have to deal with as it relates to diversity, inclusion, and equity, and in student engagement relates to making choices that may or may not make everyone happy in the classroom, may make everyone happy here on campus, but you have to make those choices for the long-term sustainability of your jobs and the college, and commit to actions once decisions are made. So this slide basically talks about what can faculty do, right? And just want to talk to to a little bit about what you can do regardless of your discipline that you are engaged with in the classroom. Encourage meaningful interaction. Remember I said before, this is the first time many students, white, black, brown, um, yellow, whichever students, this is the first time that they're interacting and helping students to interact in a positive way rather than a conflict-based interactions. It would be extremely helpful. That's a skill that faculty can learn, and if you don't know how to do it, I think that you let human resources, your dean, know that these are the sorts of things, a competency that they can help to build for you. Challenge ingrained assumptions, disrupt ingrained thinking. There are lots of studies around attitudes that white students bring about black students bring around white students, men about against women, you know all of the dimensions of diversity, lots and lots of erroneous attitudes, negative attitudes that in the workplace shows up in the inability to work successfully as part of a team. Nudge students into interactions outside of their comfort zone, right? Oftentimes, I go on the University of Rochester campus and you see all the black students sitting by themselves, all the white students sitting by themselves, and while sometimes that's okay, sometimes if it's always, right, it's an unfortunate circumstance because students aren't learning how to interrelate, communicate with people who are different than themselves. And the last one, for some people, you may not understand what I said there. It says, remove underrepresented students' perception that they're stereotype threat. There's there's an interesting book about this, which talks about the fact that a stereotype threat is someone whose physical characteristics, when they show up, engenders fear, right? And you can't teach someone that you fear, and people who believe that you fear them also can't learn from you, right? So it's extremely important that any stereotype you bring, and if you are an urban faculty and you have perceptions about white students from the farm, right? But more sensitive is the issue of attitudes around when you see a large, for example, black student, what does that mean to you, right? If that engenders fear, you're not going to be able to teach them, and they are not going to be able to learn from you. Same with staff here on campus in those kinds of interactions. Makes sense? Anyone? I see some heads shaking, right. Take advantage of the reality that for most students, it's the first time learning with students very different from themselves, and the same thing. It's kind of similar to what I said earlier. Encourage events between dissimilar groups of students. Plan campus events to encourage students passing paths more frequently. Support students taking courses outside of their majors. Why is that important? Sometimes, if you are math students, you only relate to people who are interested in math, that you don't learn about the personalities and students who are interested in the arts, right? And the way to really become more innovative, more creative in your world is to find ways of interacting with people whose orientation, whose lens on the world is different than yours. And encourage the increased diversity of faculty and staff. And let me say this, it is not only to help minority students, white students. There are recent studies on this in the last couple of years that talks about white students learn and flourish and grow when they're also exposed to diverse faculty. And I know that is controversial because some people think if there's an initiative to hire more black or brown or diverse faculty, that means some of us may not be able to get jobs. The idea here from a sustainability standpoint is how do we grow SUNY Erie so that not only we're not removing staff, that we hire more faculty, more staff here at SUNY Erie. right? But again, retention of minority students and the growing of majority students is extremely important in terms of hiring more diverse faculty. A few more. Disrupts the way students think and disrupt conformity, recognize and manage friction that thought diversity bring. And let me just say this. I always wondered from the perspective of the corporate world that it's the corporate and the business world that's been the leadership in advancing diversity and inclusion around the country. I always wondered why it wasn't the college campus that was doing that, because it's really about thought diversity, and thought diversity is enhanced by having diverse people in the environment. But it's really about the primary objective of learning. It is to create more diversity of thinking within the classroom, more diversity of thinking here on campus. And to do that and to truly maximize that is to have more diverse people. So one area in the classroom that would be enhanced is to recognize and manage the friction that thought diversity sometimes bring, which enhances problem solving and accuracy. All of the studies over the last year said, even if you put the smartest 5 people in the room and you put diverse people to compete with them, that the chances of the diverse group being more successful in problem solving than the homogeneous smart group is extremely high. I think it's at 95%. The chances are that they will problem solve with a higher quality than the problem solving group with the smartest people in it. And if those who don't believe it, there's a fellow by the name of Scott Page who's done studies over the last 10, 15 years, who's done those studies and replicated it over and over and came out with the same results. To move a little bit faster here, students succeed with role models and mentors whom they can identify. And this slide just talks about the need for more diverse faculty, right? And that to retain students as we get more and more diverse students, to encourage excellence and better performance in the classroom, the opportunity to have and engage with on the campus with diverse faculty is extremely important. Does not mean that if you're not of the same race or gender of the person that you can't be a mentor. I'm not saying that at all. It just says that all of the studies say that having diverse faculty in the environment, on the campus, makes a huge difference in retention, makes a huge difference in educational outcome. And students of color, women, LGBTQ, and majority students need diverse faculty role models. And I know that on the campus there's some support, maybe a lot of support from faculty for that, and is also a small number of people who feel that it is a challenge and a problem in going forward with initiatives in that area. One of the concerns that we have is how selections are made. And I know that in the past, when before Dan Hoykoy was here, President Quinn and I used to have conversations around this selection process here at the college, and how that either facilitated or was a real problem in the ability to select diverse faculty. I just say to all of you that in order to grow SUNY Erie, in order to make this a better place, ask that you encourage your support for advancing initiatives like that here on campus. And lastly, I would say that most diversity initiatives on campus occur, and I'm sorry that you can't see the top part, occur after problems have occurred. Someone sues the university, there is an incident here on campus, then all of a sudden there's support for a diversity initiative. I would say SUNY Erie deserves to think about this in a more strategic way. One of the reasons I was asked to speak this morning is to say that if we can support a proactive approach, a view, a lens, that this is a way to make a more excellent environment for students, more welcoming environment for students, that to supporting a diversity initiative in this way is much more better than having to react to the problems that occur here on campus or in the community. And lastly, I ask you to reflect on your own biases. And there's a lot of talk out there, I think most of you may know, on campuses in the business world about unconscious bias. That part of the challenge is, all of us, by the way, every one of us in this room have biases, right? Sometimes it's so unconscious that we're not aware, and we would challenge others when people say that we're biased. We're all biased. The question is, are we aware of it, and how do we find ways of coming to fairness? How do we find ways of acting differently in the face of understanding what our biases are? Because we are all biased in some ways. Consider your personal views on diversity, engagement, equity in interactions in the classroom. Some of the comments that were not put up there is that some students feel that the classroom here are not a fair place for them, not a welcoming place for them. Consider how you engage with students and assess if you think you could be in that box or in a different box than that. Reflect on your own life. You know, studies show again that communities that have been able to economically grow over 15 years in the United States, they're the ones that appear to have addressed the issues of diversity in a much more embracing ways than others. Places like Dallas, even the history of Boston with all of its racist history. Places like that are beginning to address issues of racism, inequality in ways that has helped them to promote their growth over time. So a conscious look at how we address issues of racism, inequality, fairness in our communities here on campus is important. And lastly, try to make a difference here at SUNY Erie in this area. It's one of the pillars, by the way. Let me say this again. It is not the only area of focus. This is a huge area of focus, but technology is another one, right? Classroom excellence is another. How staff engage with students is another, and the question of safety. Many students mentioned some concerns on the survey around their perception of safety here on campus. So I ask you, this presentation is about diversity. Let's align with all of the other subject areas that makes SUNY Erie great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clay. Okay, I do want to mention that Clay is going to be doing 2 breakout sessions today, one at 12:15 and another at 1:15, and they're both going to be in the Poets Corner on the 2nd floor of the library. I'm sure that once you get up there, you'll be able to find it. Okay, there are a number of other things going on this afternoon. I think that we're about ready for a 15-minute break. We're going to be doing some of the awards for some of the people who were not here earlier. We apologize for some of the schedule changing. We're kind of tap dancing right now because we have about 15 minutes of unexpected extra time. That's okay, we'll fill it up, don't worry. But right now, please come back here and be ready for the next session at 5 after 10. Thank you.
good time, and she retired on us. She still keeps in touch with us, and we're very happy about that. And thank you all. And I think there's also an award for excellence in adjunct teaching, and that's Christina Wilkowski, ASKI. Great. Thank you. Biology North. And I think that's all I have to do, right, Mike? Yeah. That's your. I give it back to you, right?
Yeah,
okay.
No problem. That's good. Okay. Just to kind of announce the schedule change, since we have about an extra half hour to play with. Woo! I know, it's nice. Okay, we're going to do the Middle States and ILO panels starting right about now and going until 10:45. At 10:45, we're going to start the 5-minute presentations, and I do want to announce that anyone who is listed on this list as giving a 5-minute presentation, you must be up front at 10:45, or you will not have an opportunity to give a 5-minute presentation. We're going to try to get done a little early, perhaps about 11:20, and then we will, be able to go to FFECC meeting. If you are an FFECC member, we strongly recommend that you go to a very important and probably reassuring meeting of the entire FFECC membership in room 5102, starting at, well, when we get done, but 11:30 at the latest. And we will have our newsletter, the new edition of our newsletter, to hand out at that time, among other stuff. Okay, and right now, we're going right into the Middle States and ILO's update, and I'm proud to present Debbie Doucette.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. As Mike said, I'm Debbie Doucette. I'm the chair for the Middle States team. We have a great team. We have Mary Ortel, Sabrina Kane, Fabio Escobar, who's also the ALO. We have Erickson Nilens, he's the general education, and we're missing Renee Rojas. But I'll tell you, everyone, we've been working hard trying to put together an outstanding report. I do need somebody to press the button on this. Here we go. Fabio's going to take care of it. Thank you. He's our technology guy. Honest to God, when any of us touch the technology, it just goes, and he comes in and he fixes it. Okay, great. Well, we had a clicker. Oh, I know. There we go. Okay. I just wanted to enlighten everybody with the process that we have gone through to try and create a very, very good response to Middle States. We started seriously working on writing this report for this warning. It's due on September 1st, pretty much as soon as classes were over. I mean, we are all faculty. And we started in May, worked on it in June. We got a first draft going, which we reviewed internally amongst the Middle States team, really by the end of June. Worked on it some more based upon what we felt we needed to add. And believe me, it's been hours and hours of reviews and being a good critic of this report. I mean, that's what we were looking for, is we want to make sure that we are questioning everything, making sure that we are very clear. We got a second draft out, and we distributed it to the President's Cabinet, and that was in the middle of July. Gave everybody about a week. It's not long. We tried to be brief. We want to be to the point. It's less than 30 pages, just the main body. And of course, then we have all the evidence, which is a lot, because of all the great work that everyone here in this room did with all of the inventive insertions in those reports and questioning your own units and your program competencies. Those things are super important for Middle States. And we thank you for that work, because it was over the summer and it was a yeoman's effort. So we got the President's draft, the second draft out. got some feedback on that, worked on it some more, and then for the broad distribution, got that out in early August. So the third draft went out in early August. What we did is we distributed it to all of the deans and the vice provosts and the vice presidents. We sent it to all of the unions as well, and asked them to distribute it out to their teams for review. And gave everybody, again, about 2 weeks for review on that second draft. Got it back in the middle of August. In that also, that third draft, I'm sorry, the third draft, we did send it also to Debbie Meckel, who is the assistant provost for SUNY. We needed some outside perspective on it as well, because when you get so close to something, it's very difficult sometimes to really look at it in the perspective that we needed. Got some great feedback on the third draft, and we are currently working on the fourth draft, which we're in the home stretch this week. And of course, we've been meeting a lot this week, trying to get something even more polished. It's going to go to Dan Hakoy tomorrow morning for his review and input, and our full intentions is try and get that thing out to Middle States. It's due September 1st, get it out tomorrow, Friday to Middle States, and that will be off of our plate at that point. Okay. Here he goes. Okay, so now let's talk about this visit, October 2nd to the 4th. Now, Dan did a great job with explaining who's coming. We've got 3 reviewers that are Middle States peers. They are people who volunteer, get Middle States training, and they come in and they will literally analyze everything that we have going on. It's a full document discovery for them. They will be in everything. So we really do need for you guys from now to October 2nd, get into Nuventive and make sure that it is really good, good, meaningful information, and it's finalized, at least knowing that they're possibly going to be looking, they will be looking at it actually. Middle States, we had a meeting in May, and Middle States told us they look at every document that we have. So know that and think about the fact that somebody on the outside is going to be looking at your program, your unit. The base of their operations is going to be at the STEM North building, and as Dan said, they could be walking the halls, and they may ask questions. So we need everybody to understand and be able to say, that we are continuously improving. We have great program competencies. We know our graduates really are learning. Those are the types of things they're looking for. They're going to have a meeting forum in that time period, October 2nd to the 4th, that's similar to the Sean McKittrick forum that we had in early May. So it's going to be broken down with, there will be a session for faculty, there will be a session for administrators, unions. It's going to be very similar, from what I understand at this point, that we did way back in May. So be prepared for that. One of the things that we did learn is they are looking for big programs and big units to be represented. So that's really important for us, because what we also learned is they will go in, and y'all know it who were there. They asked, what program are you in? What's your name? What do you do? What program, what unit you're in? So they kept count on it, and they were trying to figure out if we had the big ones there. So let's make sure we got the big ones there, okay? Then they're going to go through all of this. They're going to read our report. They're going to look through all of our documentation. They're going to be talking to everybody. And then they're going to make a recommendation to Middle States. That's held confidential. We won't have any idea what they're going to say. They will generate a report. But as we learned in August of last year, what's in the report may not necessarily be what happened. We actually got pretty good feedback from the August report. We thought we were doing okay. And then the commissioners meet. That's where the final decision comes into play. So, considering the fact that we have a history, I honestly, we don't know. All we're doing is we are trying to provide the best report possible, and we have a great software system that has the documentation, and that was our issue last time. Documentation, making sure that we are documenting what we say we are doing. We can prove it now. Okay. Okay, so what are we asking you guys to do? We would like to go out and come to your campus department meetings. We have 3 campus liaisons for Middle States, our team over here, plus me, plus Fabio. Have us come in to your September department meetings so that way we can talk with you. We'll talk about the unit goals reports that you've got. We'll talk about the program competencies, making sure that everybody knows what is at stake and what is in your little area. Literally, because all of our little areas grow to be the big SUNY Erie. That's where it is, okay? And everybody is really important in this. You've got to be familiar with these unit goals, okay? So send me an invite. Let me know your department meetings so that way we can get on your schedule. It won't be long. Document, document, document. I couldn't say this even more. It's so incredibly important. Please get even those meeting minutes, get them attached to whatever action plan you've got in Nuventive, because that's what we need. We need that documentation to proof. For the academics, everybody needs to be familiar with those program competency reports. Everybody in your entire program. And again, the reason why is because everybody is going to need to follow up on the actions. Not just one person, but the whole program, whomever is working in that particular class that rolls up into the program. Also, you need to be familiar with the ILO report. That's also incredibly important. It's highlighted in the Middle State standards, these ILOs. So we have to be familiar to make sure that everybody understands that your class may be one of those classes that is analyzed for critical thinking. And then Erickson will be talking about that. And lastly, we use those 91 responsible hours as proof in one of our follow-up reports for Middle States. So make sure when you're doing your assessment, you document that because it looks great. It proves that everybody really is involved. And that's, again, what they want. Middle States wants everyone to be involved with assessment. And again, be involved. Okay, lastly, just very quickly, why are we on warning? Standard 5, Standard 6. Standard 5 is all about educational effectiveness. Are your graduates, are your program people really coming out knowing the requirements of your program, your competencies of your program? That's what we need to prove. Standard 6 is all about institutional effectiveness, making sure that our services truly are of value for our students, proving that we are constantly analyzing these things. So again, that's what they're going to be zooming in on for us. Plus, of course, the financial stability issue, which we feel with President Hakoy's presence, we've kind of addressed that, hopefully. Okay. And then lastly, PANDA. We don't have Sue Thiemann to walk around in a PANDA. But it's a nice acronym. And it tells you the whole cycle, okay? You've got your planning cycle. You've got your assessment cycle. Then you've got to narrate. Look at your assessment data. What does that tell you to do? Then you make a decision. The whole unit has to decide. The whole group has to be doing what the decision was made. And then, of course, act on those decisions as a whole. Again, we have to repeat this. It's continuous improvement. And make it simple, because it has to be sustainable. That's something that we have to make sure. We don't make it too hard, because if it's too hard, we can't continue. We need to make it simple and valuable for us, meaningful. Okay. So, as a last message to everybody, really, I mean, we're all here for the same thing. We want to make improvements on our programs, on our services. You got to think about, what do you want it to be like in the future? And then you work towards it. So with that, and also if you have any questions on this, with the Middle States report, I'm going to hand it over to Erickson for the ILOs.
All right, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me in the back okay? I know sometimes I do project. I only have about 100 slides or so we probably should be done in about 4 or 5 hours in terms of the general education piece. But no, I really wanted to give a cursory overview in terms of what we have done with the General Education Committee. First and foremost, we have made a lot of progress, and it is by no means at my own hands of this. So I really do want to acknowledge everyone that has spent the time and energy to really improve our general education report. So if you are on the General Education Committee, if you can just raise your hand, because I really do want to acknowledge the amount of work that you have done over this last year. And in addition to that, there are a few academic units I would really like to acknowledge. Math has done a remarkable job this last semester. They provided a wealth of information when it came to the quantitative reasoning piece. The library has done an awesome job in terms of, they actually have a pilot project in terms of the grants, so thanks to Jewel and Carrie for that. That helped out a ton with information literacy. The entire natural sciences unit was able to provide a wealth of data in terms of the Lawson test, which helped out a ton for scientific reasoning. So just to kind of parlay off of what Dr. Hakoy talked about this morning, for the general education side, one of our goals for this year is on excellence. So I think we have done a remarkable job to help substantiate the amount of data that we have on our ILOs, but now we want to raise it to the next level. Certainly, I do not have the time here to kind of go into those in more detail, so I do want to direct you to the breakout session number 2. Myself and Dr. Falls within the physics department, we are going to talk at more detail about some of the initiatives that we are looking to do for the next upcoming year. So that's in room 4204 for the second breakout session. Just for everyone to be aware of so that you have some idea of what's coming down the pipeline, one of the big pieces that came out of our general education assessment is that we really want to make sure that we are creating meaningful and universal assessment tools. So we want to help you to be able to make the assessment of those ILOs more meaningful, which will also help in turn us when we then are working on those reports. So I want to thank Andrew, who started to take the initiative to start creating some of these rubrics to help each one of us out here. So Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time over the summer to help create those and get the ball rolling with that. So that is fantastic. Our other big objective is that we want to make then the ILO documentation accurate. So by show of hands, how many of you have an ILO in any one of the courses that you teach this upcoming semester? I know you're shy, but I know it's a lot more hands than that. That's actually one of the things that we also want to address in the breakout session, is making sure that the documentation of your ILOs is in fact accurate. And myself, as well as the General Education Committee, we are happy to help guide you through that accurate documentation. So please, if you have any specific questions, come up and see me. But overall, I think we've done a remarkable job and improvement. Now I want to take it to the next level. Thank you.
I'm trying to get Fabio up here because Mike wants us to 10:45, so you got 15 minutes, Fabio.
No, we won't need that. I don't have any more slides for you today. I really just wanted to say thank you to all of you and to this amazing team here. The people you're not seeing up front today are the IRAP team. They're scattered around, and they're doing all sorts of work for us in these last few days leading up to the delivery of the report. This team here, the IRAP plus Middle States team, has done an amazing job over the last 6-9 months. We have really contributed to the transformation of the entire institution through this assessment process. I know that right now it still looks like a burden to us sometimes, but we are hoping that the new system really is more meaningful and simple. That we are not looking at assessment as something that is extra or as something that is an additional burden to us, but as just the natural flow of doing work at Erie. That has been our goal, and I hope that we've contributed to accomplishing that. But in the end, it's really people like you, people like Andy Sacco, for example, who did amazing work on assessment in his unit, people like Erickson, who has done incredible work on the ILOs. The business unit has contributed so much of their precious summer time. I can't tell you how much we've gotten out of that unit. Humanities, my own old unit, I gotta say, you guys have been amazing Thank you so much for everything you've done. General studies, social science. There are so many units that we can name here. I remember sitting in a room with social science on a beautiful February Saturday, was it? Saturday morning in G Building, going over their assessment structure 7 months ago, 6 months ago now. And they contributed their time and really resourced all of what we're doing here. So really thank you to all of the units. On the administrative side, there are so many to name as well. Human resources, payroll, and the finance unit, the business office unit, has really come through in the clutch, both on the Workday side to deliver this beautiful product to you that is going live in a few days, but also on the assessment side and really coming through to show, to lead the way in how a unit can do incredibly difficult work while at the same time conducting meaningful assessment. We're going to see more of that, I think, over the next few months. So thank you so much to everybody, and really, frankly, to the team. These leaders here are the ones that we should all thank. No matter what happens with this report, no matter what we get back from the commission, obviously we're going to be respectful and take that seriously. We're going to continue to improve, even if we still have gaps. But really, we should all thank ourselves, thank our colleagues, and be very happy with the work we've done. That is very important today. And that is, I hope, the message you take away from these several hard months that we've all gone through.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else? Any questions and answers, or Q&A? Q&A for the Middle States team. I will gladly deliver microphones to people who want to ask questions, if they want. No? Okay, very good. I have some announcements. Thank you very much, team. The winner of the basket from Hunt Real Estate of the raffle is Colleen Wolf. Will Colleen Wolf please come up and get her prize? It's right here. Maybe she left without it. I don't know if they. I don't know if you're not here if you can win it, but we'll find out. I'd like to make some announcements about some program changes for today. There will be a session in room 4220 during breakout session 1, which starts at 12:45. Fabio Escobar will be running an institutional and program assessment workshop in 4220 that will be happening. However, the equivalent sessions listed on breakout sessions 2 and 3 have been canceled. So sessions 2 and 3 on institutional and program effectiveness will not be happening today. Okay, anyone who is listed on the program as doing 5-minute announcements, you should be up front here right now in order so that we can quickly do our announcements and perhaps get done early and have a large break before we have the FFECC union meeting, which will start at the latest at 11:30, and then lunch starts at 12 o'clock. Some other announcements regarding what's going on in the afternoon. Okay, there is a math unit assessment meeting at 12:45 in room 4213, a natural science unit. No, it's not happening. 1:45. Thank you. Thank you. It will be happening at 1:45. I'm imagining yes. Oh, math unit assessment meeting. If you're not in the math unit, it doesn't affect you. Okay, there is Workday. People who need to learn Workday, that will be happening both at 12:45 and at 1:45 in Lecture Hall 5102. No, the other one's going to be in a computer lab. Sorry, it's on your announcements. Using web app. Excuse me. We're not quite ready for break yet. If you wish to socialize, please do it out in the hall. Okay, I'm doing announcements, and then we're going to have some other announcements about what's coming up this afternoon. Anytime you're ready. Shushers. Thank you. Okay. Using WebEx as a teaching tool will be a presentation at 12:45. It's on your program. It's going to be Susan Rothwell from Mathematics. It should be a great presentation. Later on at breakout session number 2, you'll learn about that. There's another session about Workday. By the way, people who do not have to fill out time cards, for the most part, don't need to go to the Workday sessions, and that would include all teaching faculty and librarians. There's going to be a session on using the Employee Assistance Program as a supervisory tool, which may be of interest not only to administrative supervisors, but also to department chairs. That's going to be happening in session 2 in the lecture hall 5102. Let me see what else we've got here. Breakout session number 3, there's going to be a session on advanced studies for current and future lead teachers in the advanced studies program. That's going to be in 4204. What else? The MOMS program. Something you may want to find out about. That's in breakout session number 3. And that's going to be in 5104. And that has to do with students who are mothers and providing services to students who are mothers. And there's a lot of other stuff going on, but I will leave it to you to read it on your program. And I would like to introduce Patty Kaiser, who's going to talk with us about Voter Registration Drive Day, or year.
I think Mike just gave my announcement. I've been working with some librarians and some other faculty and some counselors. ECC is going to officially participate in National Voter Registration Day, which is September 25th. We will be having tables at each of the libraries. We're getting materials from the Erie County Board of Elections. We will also have voter registration forms if anybody wants to have them anyplace else. And then you could bring them back on National Voter Registration Day and turn them in so we can keep the tally. We're very excited about this, but we will need some more bodies to help us staff the tables. We have 3 campuses, 3 libraries, all day. If you are interested, get a hold of me. I'll act as liaison and try to put that together. This was initiated by the librarians. They've done this a couple of years. We've just had sort of a passive program in the libraries. But some of us remember back that the faculty used to take a much more active role in encouraging our students to register to vote. It's nonpartisan. So if anybody wants more information or if they want to participate and help us out, get in touch with me. If the student trustee is around, we could use them to get the word out as well. This is a really great public service for our students and the campus. And if any of the faculty and staff are not registered to vote, please don't tell me. Just get the paperwork in and let's get on with this.
We have a question down here.
Kaiser at ecc.edu. Kaiser, just like the roll. That only works in Buffalo.
Oh, I would like to make a suggestion. Are you willing to take names now if people raise their hand? We're good friends. I do this to her all the time.
Sure.
Okay. If people would like to volunteer in this effort, Patty and some other volunteers will come around and take your names and your contact information so that they can contact you about this important initiative. All right.
Thank you. Who's next?
Raise your hands, please. Okay. Next up, We have an announcement about the autism awareness session, and we have Fran, we have Aaron, we have Susan. Step right up. Who's going to be talking? You're all going to talk? Okay. Yeah. Here. Just don't talk simultaneously.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Today we're presenting a workshop on autism awareness, and Dr. Jonathan Rogers from Canisius College will be here today. He's an expert in the field, and I think we all lack knowledge about autism and the behaviors that go with it. So this presentation is going to be to help us all understand how to interact with students who have autism. The latest research said that 1 out of 6 have autism. And Aaron, you were at the Summer Institute. We had Dr. Rogers at the Summer Institute who did a presentation, and Aaron was there. So you want to say just a minute something
Sure.
about that?
So yeah, Dr. Rogers gave a very interesting talk about autism awareness. He actually crafted a PowerPoint presentation, went into some of the statistics, some of the diagnostic criteria, things along those lines. So I think that that's much of what he will reiterate when he comes in today. Part of the reason why we're up here now is that because we're running a little early, Dr. Rogers isn't here right now, so we just figured we'd come up and just kind of give a little bit of a blurb about what to anticipate in terms of students on the autism spectrum, how the Student Access Center interacts with those students, and how we can support you as faculty and staff in working with students on the autism spectrum.
And I would just say real quick that the number of students coming in that are on the spectrum is going up, so you will see more in the classrooms. The other thing that is coming out is that students who have maybe not been diagnosed as being on the spectrum are now getting diagnosed later in life as on the spectrum. So I think it's something that's really going to impact us not only this year, but in years to come.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have an announcement about, or we're scheduled to have an announcement about the presentation about the Student Code of Conduct. And I guess that's Patrina. Come on up. Patrina Hill-Cheatham, of course, our Dean of Students from City Campus, and we also have
good morning.
We have Aaron.
We're missing quite a few of our presentation colleagues, but I'm Patrina Hill-Cheatham, Dean of Students for City Campus, and
I'm Jason Perry. I'm the Dean of Students for North Campus.
We wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our presentation this afternoon. We're presenting on community standards, which is a very popular terminology in higher education today, and it talks about all of the constituent groups within a learning community of the college. It talks about how we all work together and collaborate in order to maintain peace and safety of our learning environment. And what we want to do is really present to you the opportunity of how you play into each of you play into our learning community, how you contribute to that environment, and how you can help make the college community peaceful for not just yourselves, but for the students as well. Jason?
Yeah, and there will be opportunities for you to learn, whether you're a faculty person or a staff person, how you can go about reporting something that you see, who the correct person is to contact if you're on the academic side of the house, if it's an academic issue, or if you see a student behavioral issue. We have found that sometimes there's been a little bit of a miscommunication or a misnomer as to who's responsible for what, and we just wanted to try and work holistically, both the academic side of the house and the student services side, to make sure that all of you, or anyone who's interested, knows what role they can play in creating a positive environment.
So, if you are a college employee, if you're a faculty, staff, administrators, if you deal with students, then we expect to see you in our presentation this afternoon on the Code of Conduct. Thank you.
Thanks.
Introducing myself, how exciting. I'm actually thrilled to be here as a newer face at SUNY Erie. but also an old face because I did start my education here. And now I'm back as the manager of your employee assistance program. So I get to take care of the folks that took care of me, which is really exciting. So we are here because we're a new EAP for you. EAP is not a new service to you, but we are a new provider. So Child and Family Services EAP is the new provider of employee assistance programming here at all campuses, actually. And what I really want to focus on, I would love in 5 minutes to tell you all the ways that we're better and different, but I don't have time, so I really want to focus on how we can make the difference for you this year and just kind of remind you what the benefit means. This is a benefit that is provided to you at no cost. However, it is completely confidential. A lot of people think, well, if our employer is providing this support to us, are they going to know who uses it? Are they going to get information, personal information about me and my family and how I'm trying to take care of myself? The answer is no. Absolutely not whatsoever. All that the college is going to get is an aggregate report of how people are using it, so we know that it's being effective, but that is all. So I want to review really quickly just a couple of the services that I think are more important in these few minutes, the first being the counseling services. A lot of people think counseling when they think EAP, and I want you to consider us first because we're going to be fast, there's going to be no copay, and we're going to be really accessible to you. So what you have as employees is up to 4 sessions per issue that comes up for you, right? And who here only has 1 problem per year? Yeah, right. Doesn't happen. Not for me. If you do, please see me afterward and tell me what you're doing. So what this means per concern means is if you come into EAP and you access 1 to 4 sessions for an emotional issue, maybe a divorce, a breakup, or something like that, and you resolve that issue either through those sessions or through a warm referral out in the community, and then 6 months later you have another issue like a death in the family, that's a new issue, you are welcome to come back. So what that means for you and your entire household is that you have a cost-free, easy access, fast, no wait, access to mental health support at all times, which is huge. And it's not necessarily just for mental health. It could be job stress. It could be that you're struggling with a relationship here on campus. It could be that you're struggling with something at home. Again, this covers your entire household. If you have youth in the home, if you have someone at home that needs these services, they are completely covered. Additionally, and I'm watching my time here, you have a suite of work-life. Okay. Oh, thank you. We have a suite of work-life supports that are built in to support that counseling benefit as well. And this is because there are a whole other slew of responsibilities that we have other than being employees. We wish that that was all we had to do. It's not. So when we come to work, we are not just leaving all of those issues at the door. One of the big ones is financial, right? So we all have finances to manage. Some of us have more problems with that than others. I'm somewhere in the middle, usually. We do know that in Erie County and in Buffalo, we have a high poverty rate, right? And a lot of us count ourselves out of that because we know it's like this special number that the government gives us, and it's about 12 to 15% in our area. But what we're not paying attention to is that in Erie County, about 41% of all working families are experiencing financial hardship. In the city of Buffalo, it jumps up to 60%. And by financial hardship, we mean that if there is more going out for basic necessities than is coming in your paycheck, that's very, very stressful. And we're all trying to juggle how to make those things match, right? And I read a statistic not too long ago in an HR publication that if you are experiencing financial hardship, you are 400 to 500% more likely to experience anxiety and depression. Not a surprise, but it's a big number. Please access our financial services. You have up to 3 hours of all of the services that Consumer Credit Counseling provides for free. If you were to go knock on their door, that would be about a $250 charge if you were to access those services. Everything from student loan debt consolidation, basic in and out, credit repair. If you're getting letters from creditors, if people are calling you and you just want to get out from underneath that, it's a perfectly great resource to use and it's entirely free to you. I see a question.
Are all of these PAP services available to part-timers as well as full-timers?
Yes. Additionally, aside from the financial services, we have nutrition services. So everyone has up to a 1-hour visit with a registered nutritionist or holistic health coach. And a lot of people think, okay, weight loss maybe post-holidays, we're going to go and address the cookies that we had, but I really want to expand your mind and consider that this really plays into your energy, it plays into your mental health, it plays into whatever other health issues you might have in the home. If you have a child with a peanut allergy, for example, and you're arguing with their school about what the cafeteria rules are, That's a perfectly great resource to call for free to get some real-time advocacy. So stretch your minds on the nutrition piece as well. You have legal consultation that is absolutely free. Again, about a $250 cost in our community. Anything from, I've gotten a speeding ticket in Amherst and I gotta go in front of Judge Klein and I don't know whether I need a lawyer, to I've got this letter in the mail and I don't know what it means. You have access to a free consultation with a local law firm or attorney that knows our court system, knows our judges, and can walk you through that. We also have child care and elder care consultation. These are very, very comprehensive. We are lucky in Buffalo to have a network of nonprofits that work very, very well together. We have a lot of employees who are both taking care of kids and transitioning elderly loved ones. It can be a very stressful time. It's usually also something that if it goes downhill fast, and there's a lot coming at you. We encourage you to come through EAP for those supports, because not only are you going to have access to the community resources that are going to get you through that time, you're also going to be working with one of our counselors that can help you keep track of all the things that you need to do and make sure that you as the caregiver are also getting the supports that you need, which is super, super important. We have Alzheimer's care consultation as a subset of the elder care consultation. We also have mediation, community mediation, as a subset of our legal. Mediation is huge, guys. I can't stress it enough. It's absolutely free. Anything that you can have a conflict over, whether it's in the community or among peers or among family members, anything that you can argue about, you can mediate if the two people come to the table. It removes lawyers from the process, and it helps those folks come to resolution while hopefully maintaining that relationship at the same time. So that's sort of the long and short of the services. What I really want to stress for you is don't even try to remember all that, okay? Look us up. Check out the materials that come around, and just remember EAP if you're feeling any kind of stress. If you think to yourself, I got this big issue I'm dealing with, but I don't know if this is really EAP appropriate, it's EAP appropriate, I promise. Call us, and if we are not necessarily the right resource as far as counseling goes, we're gonna find you what you need. The issue here, again, is to make sure that you guys are taking care of you. You are tasked with taking care of a whole lot of people this year, and you cannot be on the bottom of the list or it's not gonna work. So remember that we're here for you. I will hang out afterward if folks have questions. The biggest thing that I want to remind you of, it's complete household coverage. It is totally confidential. It is totally free. We do have a session this afternoon for managers and supervisors. I highly encourage you to go to that because it's going to help you understand how to use this benefit to support and manage your team and yourself as you lead. And that's it for me. I think it was maybe 5 minutes, and I'm going to pass the mic. All right, good deal.
Thank you, Jennifer. Erica Hendra, and then we have Mike Rio.
We're doing this together? Okay.
What are you talking about?
Oh, good morning, guys. Hi. How's it going? So we just had a lot of information, and I'm here to talk to you about something that's imminent, but not happening right now. So it's going to be easy for you to forget it. So you're going to see me again several times probably over the next academic year. This is a big year for the English unit. We're making major changes to our curriculum. We're launching an English major. Mike Rio is going to talk to you about how we're going to deal with remediation, and I'm going to talk to you today about the composition sequence, because it's the one that probably affects everybody in here. All our students, right, they take EN 110, which is college composition. Most of them take EN 111, which is composition and interpretation of literature. And those, after next fall, for the most part, they're going to disappear. They're not going to exist anymore. So the breakout session I'm promoting today obviously deals with those. And so what I want to share with you, let me check my cheat sheet. As we were updating for the English major, we realized that our composition sequence, it just wasn't serving our students anymore. It was a bit outdated. A lot of other colleges are changing their curriculum to do career-focused writing. And so those are the changes that we're starting to implement when we launch the new composition sequence. So EN 110 will become EN 100. And that's going to be a rhetorical strategies course. And then instead of EN 111, your students are going to get a choice. They can take EN 101, which would be writing in the humanities, or they can take EN 102, which would be writing in STEM. And so both of those courses are kind of redesigned to focus a bit more on some of the different careers that might fall within those two categories. The breakout session, I think, is going to go into far more detail about the nuts and bolts of how that happens. And we will be offering these breakout sessions several times over the year, but I encourage you to get to the one today. Get ahead of it, because EN 110 especially, right, affects everybody. What else did I want to say? the English chairs, so myself here at South Campus, Jackie Bollinger at North Campus, Sabrina Kane at City Campus, we're here to be as much help to you as possible as you're making these changes. And I'm going to actually throw it out there that all our English faculty can be advocates for the changes that we're making. So find your favorite English professor, corner them, and ask them all the questions you don't want to ask today. All right, I think that's it. I think I'll turn it over to Mike Rio and he can talk about ALP.
Okay, so the first year composition course changes are happening in the fall. In the spring 2019, we will see new courses for foundational courses. It's our Accelerated Learning Program, or ALP, not to be confused with EAP. And those courses are going to be offered to students who are testing into developmental or courses or remedial courses. This semester, we are piloting with a combination of O22, which is our developmental English course, which integrates reading and writing, along with a co-requisite EN 110. What you'll see in the spring is a new course, EN 050, which is going to be our new foundational course co-requisite that we're pairing with 110 during that transition period before the changes are made for first year composition courses in the fall. It's very important that if you're working with students during the course selection process, advisement into first year composition courses, that you're familiar with the course content, that you're familiar with the goals of the Accelerated Learning Program, and that students can participate in the decision-making process and build, in building self-efficacy, we're hoping to see completion rates increase for the first year composition course sequence. And what we're finding is nationally and with the schools that we're working with through the SUNY Performance Improvement Funding Grant is that students are attempting at a higher rate their first year composition course, and they're completing those courses more successfully at a much higher rate. So encouraging students to consider that decision and guiding them during that process is important for academic program advisors as well as counselors and anyone that's engaging with students during that enrollment registration process. So again, we'll have more information for you and PowerPoints and handouts during our breakout session after lunch.
And we have Marvin Wilson tell you about the grant.
Thank you. I'm going to speak about the Men of Merit program real quick. This past year, we had a really exciting first year when I was here because Men of Merit's primary focus is to promote retention of male SUNY Erie students, instilling the qualities of integrity, excellence, and distinction. Our men were involved in workshops, special events, community service to build self-esteem, and help them discover the path to success. So we were at the city mission, we were at churches, at the Buffalo Urban League, we were all over the place this past year. My first goal was to bring in about 30 students. We ended up having 72 at the city campus. We had 25 volunteer community mentors, and we're recruiting more mentors for this coming year. My youngest student is 18, my oldest is 75, and I find that 5 of my guys are over 60 years of age, and they bring back that old school spirit that's really, really exciting. So even my oldest guy, he's a retired pastor, he brings to every barbershop conversation that spiritual connection that we find that we men need and we can benefit from. So now for the first time, we're going to be expanding to all 3 campuses beginning in the fall semester. We'll be at City, North, and South. So we're going to have an exciting year coming up. You can applaud, it's okay. Thank you. But the big news this morning, I'm pleased to announce that the Men of Merit program has secured a $25,000 grant from Millennium Collaborative Care of Western New York and Catholic Medical Partners to install an alcohol and substance abuse awareness program this academic year. With this grant, we'll be bringing alcohol and substance abuse awareness to the SUNY Erie community. The program educates students about alcohol and drug usage in an effort to inform perceptions, aid students in making healthy choices, and encourage students to seek help when necessary. There are 3 goals to the project. Goal number 1, to change perceptions about alcohol and substance abuse by providing educational events and resources. Goal number 2, to discourage alcohol and substance abuse by promoting healthy lifestyles and behaviors. Goal number 3, Most importantly, to encourage help-seeking behaviors by providing educational resources and community referrals to those who experience the negative consequences of alcohol and drug abuse. We've assembled a comprehensive task force and planning committee to assemble this project, which we're now currently working on. Our events for the fall semester, we're going to be working in conjunction with Heather Cruz and the health offices to be involved in two major events this semester. One's going to be the Community Services Fair being held at City Campus on the 18th, the South on the 19th, I'm sorry, oops, yeah, 19th, and North on the 20th, excuse me. We're also going to partner with Heather Cruz again and the health office team to do the health fair in December. City Campus on December 4th, North on the 5th, and the South Campus on December 6th. I want to take a moment again to thank the committees for joining us in this exciting project, and thank you because we need your help to make sure more men graduate. Thank you very much.
We're back again. It is my pleasure and an honor to introduce Dr. Jonathan Rogers from Canisius College, and he's going to take a few minutes and tell you about the autism awareness presentation.
So how many of you think you've had a student with autism spectrum disorder in your classrooms? That's a decent number. If any of you teach over 200 students, you probably have, statistically speaking. So what I'm going to talk about diagnostic characteristics. I'm going to talk about some recommendations. I wish I could come to you saying I had a program that was great and we could implement it. The problem is there isn't very much out there. Most of the new estimates say the number of diagnoses is growing, and one of the biggest areas it's growing in is in college students, especially high-functioning college students who go on to higher education, who have the potential to go on for longer, very successful careers. But unfortunately, there aren't very many supports, nor is there all that much awareness. So what I'm actually going to do in the presentation is I'm going to talk about, very quickly, probably a little slower than this, but quickly, the diagnostic characteristics of autism spectrum disorder, some of the prevalence. I'm going to talk a little bit about the myths and misunderstandings briefly, because I don't get much time. I mean, I could talk all day if we wanted to. And then I'm going to talk about some recommendations based on the research that is out there. There isn't very much, but based on what is out there, I'm going to talk about some recommendations and things like that, and a little bit on new research that we have been doing. But unfortunately not too much, because there isn't much out there. So I'm over in the faculty lunchroom is where my presentation will be after lunch. I hope everybody's having a good day, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dr. Rogers. Okay, couple of quick announcements. Number one, the FFECC member meeting, to which all FFECC members are strongly encouraged to attend. Very important information and discussions to be had. Good things, but some challenging things. Please come. It's starting at 11:15 now in room 5102. 11:15. Very, very important. The other announcement, I neglected to announce that there will be a session on online tutoring using BrainFuse by Pat Ryan and Carl Siebert from the Distance Learning and Alternative Programs Department, and that will be in breakout session number 2, starting at 1:45 in room 4203. Take a break, come to the union meeting if you're a union member. If you're not, take a long break. Lunch will be, the beginning of lunch will be at 12 o'clock. Thank you.